Alright, I'm Chad Smith with Adventure Wagon, and this is the install kit for the Ford Transit to be able to use the MOAB bed in it. And what we've done is there are a couple of areas that are pre-drilled to use riv nuts, and we'll set these bracers using the OEM holes. So if you come in here, you'll see that this flanges over, and there's an OEM hole right here ready for you. So you'll take that hole, widen it out with a 25/64 inch bit, and then you'll slip in a riv nut there, like this. And of course the hole's not widened out yet, but that will slip right in, and that dictates exactly where this goes. Now before you actually mount that hole in there, what you want to do is you hold it up into place. After you drill the hole out, you can actually slip your riv nut in there and it'll hold it in place for you. There's also another hole down here. This is the other OEM hole. And you'll notice that this is being held away from the skin of the vehicle because of the PEM nut behind here. So what I do is I take the 3/16 inch rivets that you're going to be using to set inside here, and I'll poke it through here and I'll scratch the paint in each of these areas that have the PEM and no clearance behind it for the bolt to push through. So once you've made the mark, you actually drill that out, and I just use the same 25/64 inch bit that we use to set these rivet nuts into the holes, and that allows the bolt to pass through. Remember, every time you punch these holes, these are the actual prototypes, so they have the primer paint. So after you punch the holes, you want to prime them and make sure you deburr them. On the inside here, once these two riv nuts are set, they're held in place, and they'll be in the place every time. Now you can go through and punch your holes here and set your 3/16 inch rivets. And that's how you mount these. These little tabs are indexes for the rest of the kit, and we'll show you that in a different video probably in a couple weeks. But this will get you going to be able to mount the tracks. The tracks then run from the top of the van all the way to the floor, and in the back here it's the same situation. We're using this OEM hole here to set the track height, and then the rest of it just same situation. You want to set the height and then make the mark where the PEMs will hit the skin of the vehicle. There's 3 of them on this one, 1, 2, and 3. Outside of that, once those are in, and your rivets are set, and your rivets will also set into the side here, then you go through and punch out the rest of the holes and set your riv nuts right through the skin, right through this and the skin of the vehicle. So this one goes on the back, that one goes on the front, and we'll go cut to, this is a brand new vehicle, and I couldn't show you the OEM holes on our vehicle because we've punched all the other holes. So we'll just go back to our vehicle, and we'll show you with it all mounted, and you can get a really good idea, and we'll put the bed in. Thanks. One thing I wanted to point out is this one piece has an index going off in each direction. That goes to the driver's side. The other piece has an index going only in one direction here, and that is for the passenger side. All right, so we're back in our prototyping van, and these are the marks that the screws made. I just pushed them through, but again, you could use your little 3/16 inch rivet to push through the PEMs and scratch it out. Afterwards, I use the 25/64 bit. I punch those holes out. At this point, take a deburr. It is important to deburr. And there's a lot of good information online about why, but it will help prevent the rust from happening even if you're painting it. So after we deburr it, we will take paint, put it in there to protect it. And I'm not worried that it's going over the outside of these things because all of it's being covered by this bracer. After those are punched out, oops, you can align everything and then just double check to make sure that everything is lining up, and they are. I can see right through to the holes. That way I know my bolts are going to pass all the way through. And now I can go ahead and set the rib nuts. So I'm going to go ahead and set one in my set OEM hole up here, and what you didn't see is I also set it up here. I took my 25/64 bit and I reamed that hole out to be a little bit wider, and now I'll just go ahead and set it. Once the holes are put up for the sets in the set holes, then you'll go through and punch out just right through the holes into the skin of the vehicle. Again, this van has already been pre-punched, so I'm just showing you the process. Wherever there's an open hole and no PEM, that's where you will just, while this thing is even in place, go ahead and punch all these holes out. And then same process, deburr, and paint. To punch these holes in the back, you're going to want to use a 3/16 cobalt bit. This is reinforced steel. Anywhere in your transit where you have reinforced steel, it's going to burn your bits up pretty good and fast. So you're going to want to order a cobalt bit. That's the best way to deal with the reinforced steel. All right, so after you get your wall bracers in, you put the track in over the top of that. It's pretty obvious that they can only go in one direction. And then your bed rails will just span the distance, and you can get the MOAB in. And of course the MOAB, now with these rails, they can go all the way up to basically the ceiling, and all the way down to the most far down in a working sense would be around 12 inches high, because you can't get it lower than the wheel well. But now you can bring this all the way down the wheel well and all the way up to the ceiling. I think that pretty much covers it.